Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into a literal defensive playbook of 12 incredibly dark psychology hacks. We're unpacking some truly fascinating source material that exposes the hidden, sometimes scary tactics people use to manipulate human behavior. And our goal here is super simple. You need to know these tactics to protect yourself. So let's just kick things off with a pretty uncomfortable question. Are you being secretly manipulated? It's tough to think about, I know, but whether it's in business, politics, or even your romantic relationships, there is a very real chance someone might be controlling your decisions right now without you even realizing it. In fact, the source material explicitly warns us about this. It points out that large companies, politicians, or sadly, even loved ones might be using these tactics to take advantage of you. Listen, if we don't educate ourselves on these dark tricks, the people who already know them are absolutely going to use them to our detriment. We aren't learning this playbook to manipulate others. We're learning it to build our defenses. All right, Section 1, Reality Distortion, or Hacking Your Perception. Our very first hack is called priming. Basically, priming is all about subconsciously influencing someone's decisions by planting hidden cues in their environment. To really wrap our heads around this, the source shares this wild story about Nicky Armstrong. He was a professional gambler who totally set up a Chinese billionaire for a massive bet, just by secretly planting visual cues everywhere the man went. What's absolutely crazy about how Nicky pulled this off is that he hid the number 55 everywhere, on billboards, on the guy's hotel receipts, even in the ambient design of the hotel lobby itself. So when the billionaire was eventually pressured into picking a random jersey number on a baseball field for a huge wager, he subconsciously chose 55. He thought it was just his own lucky instinct, right? But he had been heavily primed, and it ended up costing him a $2 million bet. Okay, our next reality distortion tactic is gaslighting. We hear this term thrown around all the time nowadays, but it actually stems from a 19th century London play called Gaslight. In the story, a husband named Jack slowly drives his wife completely crazy by subtly moving objects around their house and dimming the gaslights. When she asks him about it, he just outright denies doing it, which makes her doubt her own memory and sanity. Manipulators use this exact same strategy of flat-out denial to maintain control over you. Which brings us to a really brilliant little hack called the go slightly wrong trick. Let's say you want to know where a coworker is moving. If you just ask directly, "Are you moving to Delhi?" they might get defensive. But if you state a slightly wrong fact, like, "I heard you're moving out of India," it triggers this psychological reflex. People just love correcting a wrong assumption. Giving someone a slightly inaccurate fact is honestly the easiest way to extract the hidden truth. Moving right along to Section 2, Emotional Exploitation, or Weaponizing Feelings. Let's talk about the social proof hack. Con artists are infamous for creating entirely fake scenarios just to exploit your emotions, usually targeting greed and trust. The source details the scam where a con artist's partner pretends to be passed out in an alleyway, but the setup is perfect. He's in an expensive suit, his wallet is bulging with $100 bills, and he's wearing a shiny Patek Philippe watch. All these social cues scream extreme wealth, which tricks a random passerby into paying real hard cash to buy the watch off the guy who supposedly just discovered the unconscious man. Only later do they realize the watch is a total fake. Next up, we've got fear-mongering. To really understand how powerful this is, look at the history of Listerine. When it first launched, the product literally wasn't selling, so the marketers totally pivoted. They aggressively started pushing the obscure medical term for bad breath, halitosis. They basically manufactured a massive panic that having halitosis would leave you single forever. And guess what? Sales completely skyrocketed. It just goes to show that manufacturing fear is a historically potent way to control the masses. Now, when we look at romantic dynamics, this emotional exploitation often shows up as love bombing. It's a really vicious three-step cycle. Step 1, the manipulator just showers you with overwhelming gifts and affection. Step 2, all that attention creates an intense dependency. But step 3 is the trap. They abruptly withdraw all of that affection, leaving you completely confused and desperate to win their approval back. All right, let's shift gears to Section 3, Control and Guilt, also known as the compliance trap. Have you ever heard a boss say, "We're all a team. We need to sacrifice and work weekends"? Toxic workplaces or multi-level marketing schemes use this hack all the time. It's called forced teaming. They basically guilt you into sacrificing your personal time, your money, or your weekends by falsely making you feel like you're part of this tight-knit, unified family. But really, it's just a manufactured bond designed entirely to exploit you.
Next on the compliance list is choice restriction. Parents are absolutely famous for this one, but trust me, it works just as well on adults. Notice how a manipulator won't explicitly command you to do something. Instead, they restrict your options so heavily, like saying, hey, you can either study your books or you can clean the entire house. They box you in so much that you voluntarily choose exactly what they wanted you to do all along, all while thinking it was your own decision. Then, of course, we have the classic guilt trip. The source shares this super frustrating workplace story about a woman named Priya. She constantly steals her coworker Rahul's IT project ideas in front of their boss. But when Rahul finally confronts her about it, she doesn't apologize at all. Instead, she starts crying about her fragile mental health, saying, I'm having a tough time, I need this credit, or I might just quit. She completely deflects accountability by forcing Rahul to feel intensely guilty for even bringing it up. Another really quick, rapid-fire tactic to watch out for is amplifying problems. This is where a manipulator takes a tiny, minor inconvenience, like maybe you're running a few minutes late for a date, and blows it entirely out of proportion. Suddenly, a simple traffic jam turns into a screaming accusation of, you don't care about me at all, you wouldn't care if I died. It's designed to shock your system and force you instantly into a state of deep apology. And building right off of that is self-abasement. This one is incredibly sneaky. When a manipulator actually gets caught making a mistake, they might aggressively insult themselves instead of apologizing. They'll say things like, I'm the worst, I ruin everything, I don't know why I even try. What this does is force the victim to stop being angry at the mistake, totally pivot, and start comforting the manipulator. It's a dark, brilliant way to completely evade responsibility. Which brings us to section 4, the climax, the power of silence. We're talking about the silent treatment. It reminds us of that old saying that silence truly does speak louder than words. This hack requires absolutely 0 words, yet it is incredibly destructive. By completely withdrawing all communication, the manipulator triggers immense confusion, panic, and self-doubt in the victim, who is just left there frantically trying to figure out what they did wrong. And the really crazy part? This is backed by hard research. Studies highlighted in the source materials show that enduring the silent treatment actually activates the exact same pain centers in the human brain as real physical pain. It's not just annoying, it is a highly toxic, neurologically damaging weapon. Finally, we reach section 5, resolution, protecting your mind. Okay, so here is your defensive checklist. Because look, the goal of learning all this isn't to turn you into some master manipulator. It's so you can recognize these patterns the very second they happen. Always question the intent behind extreme behaviors. Call out the tactics when you see them being used. And most importantly, establish firm boundaries and share this knowledge to help protect the people you care about. So I want to leave you with one final, really provocative thought. Take a hard, honest look at your romantic relationships, your friendships, and your workplace. Now that you know their playbook, ask yourself, are your choices truly your own? Something to think about. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and definitely stay vigilant out there.